Cool. My name is John Lawson, and I'm from a company called Colder Ice Media, you know. And basically, I guess I'm sitting up here because I've sold a lot of stuff online. That's pretty much it.
I'm Brent Leary from a company called CRM Essentials. Who knows what CRM stands for? Okay, that's good enough.
All four of you.
I'm an Atlanta-based CRM consultant and also
All right. So I'm Judith. Bitterli. I'm SVP of Marketing for AVG Technologies, and small business is very important for AVG. It is the cornerstone of our business. And for me personally, it's important because I started 4 businesses. 2, I built and sold. 1, I financed, then brought VC money in, and they promptly fired me 2 years later. Last time I do that. And 4th, I have on the shelf for in the future. But with all of those businesses, they were all built on a platform of trust. Trust that I would do the right thing for my employees. Trust that I would do the right thing for my customers. Trust that I would do the right thing by my family. And trust that regardless of or because of my actions, I could look at myself in the mirror every day and not flinch. And I'm sure each of you have that same sort of trust platform in your business. And while the title of this presentation is Mobile Social Checkup, it really goes back to the heart of that trust and things that you can do to make sure you instill that trust. Now, you know, why is this important? Why is Mobile Social Checkup really important to you? And here's the reason why. Over the last 22 years, 2.5 billion, that's billion with a B, people have come online. Just think about it. Now think about this. Over the next 4 to 7 years, another 2.5 billion people are going to be coming online. Think about the business opportunity. Think about how that's going to expand your horizon. It's an amazing opportunity. But sadly, in that mass of humanity, there are going to be a few people who are less than honest or less than credible. And the only thing you're going to know about them is what they tell you online. So you need to be prepared. You need to make sure that your business practices are secure and safe so you're ready to embrace this next 2.5 million. So, one of the things that we can do to help is we've created a small business IT security health check. This is free, it's online, and I'll make sure you get a copy of my presentation so you have the link. This is something you can do in private. No one will know you've taken it. Not your business partner, not your employees, not your spouse, but do take this because it will give you a quick assessment of where your vulnerabilities are and also some recommendations on what to do to make sure you cover those vulnerabilities. So first I want to talk about mobile and give you 5 quick tips and guidances to help you with your mobile practices. So first of all, most of you have employees or may have employees that work for you that travel. You travel. Never, ever, ever get behind me in security at the airport because my notebook, my bag has 2 notebooks, 1 tablet, and 3 phones, smartphones, and trust me, I need them all. But one of the practices that we have at AVG that I'd recommend for you is I carry 1 notebook that is not connected to the internet. It's used for circumstances like this. It has a basic level of information on it, PowerPoint, Excel, but it's stuff that I do offline on the road so that if I lose that notebook, it's okay. You know, there's nothing company confidential. No one has a back door into the company. So one of the things I would recommend is seriously look at some of your old notebooks. Think about putting them on the shelf instead of giving them away and provision them for when you travel. It's just, you know, it's too easy to lose things nowadays. Number 2, please, please, please avoid flash drives. I have a vase at home that literally has over 150 flash drives in it. They've been cleaned, but these things are so easy to lose. Think about them laying on the tables here, in your purse, in your wallet. It's just too easy to lose information that could be harmful to your business. Third, use the cloud for accessing data. We've spoken a lot about this morning, but from a security perspective, if it's up in the cloud, it means it's not on a smartphone, it's not on a notebook. and meaning that if you lose those, your business will still be safe. Keep your security firewall updated. We have close to 100 engineers that every day look for hacks, look for malware, look for viruses. And we have these 100 engineers because that's what it takes. You know, they're out there, so make sure you're doing your updates with your antivirus software or whatever security software you use. And third, make sure that your mobile devices have a Find Your Device app loaded on them. So in that rare occurrence where you lose them, like I lose my keys all the time, you can find it fairly quickly. So that's first. Number two, make sure that you're employing BYOD, not bring your own protection. So at AVG, one of the things that we do is we do a health check. In my 3 phones, one of those smartphones is my personal phone. But I can take it into the office, they'll put the encryption on it, security software, because I work on it. I have my business email on it, I have connection with all of our servers. So this might be a practice which you should also consider is with people that you work with, just have a day, bring the devices in, make sure everyone is aligned and everyone is protected. Third, educate your employees on risks. Probably like you, I always had team meetings with my partners and with my employees once a week, once a month, once a day, but use this as an educational opportunity to make sure everyone is aligned on common business practices. Simple things like complex passwords, and that doesn't mean the birth date of their first child, second child, and third child. So I know we talk about this a lot, but it's one of the most important things you can do for your business health and also your employees. Make sure the passwords are complex, alphanumeric, and use some uppercase along the way and use different ones for different systems. That is the hardest one, I know, but it's very important. Make sure you might want to look at having surfing restrictions, web restrictions on sites that your employees can go to. This is a delicate conversation with your employees because you don't want to bridle them back. But there are some sites that you know and some categories of sites that you know which just have a high propensity of malware and viruses. If you're curious about those, just go to our website, avg.com, and there's a place you can navigate to that lists those sites, or install software that will do that for you. And then also beware of public Wi-Fi, which we all are on right now. But public Wi-Fi also comes with security issues, so just make sure you have good practices with regard to that. Number 4, this was the hardest one for me as a small business owner. Be a good gatekeeper. Limit the number of devices and administrative access to your company servers. The last business that I started, our IT person was my business partner's husband. He remained that up until 25 employees when we were smart enough to get an outside consultant to help us with that. And then finally at 50, we had our own. But you really need to limit and restrict people who have access to the family jewels. 5, online backup. We also spoke about this this morning. Not lots of luck. Make sure you back up. Make sure the backup works. Check it. So that's kind of the mobile side of tips to do. I want to transition into social because we talk very heavily about social media. And for a small business person, this makes your store larger than life. It makes your presence larger than life. But there's some practices that we've learned at AVG over the years that might help you with your practices too. So first of all, over the last few years, we've grown our Facebook page, Facebook friends to more than 2.2 million. That's more than Burger King has. That's more than Ford has. So we've learned a lot of lessons along the way that I'd like to share with you. We have over 168,000 followers on Twitter, over 7.4 million YouTube downloads, and over 30 to 50,000 conversations every day going on online between Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. So we come at this having learned, having made mistakes, and I just want to share with you some of the things that might help with your small business. So first of all, we had a platform that we agreed to as a company when we attacked social media. Others spoke about content, but it is the holy grail. On our social media sites, we update them 2 or 3 times minimum a day. I know as a small business this is hard to do, but I would really recommend you look at your schedule, do an editorial calendar, figure out if it's you, if it's your partner, if it's your spouse, but you need to update at least 2 or 3 times a week in order to be relevant. Because if you're not relevant, people won't come back. Second, community. The community is an amazing treasure. And for us, in that mass of 2.2 million people, we have 33,000 fans that interact and solve problems for us. There's a young man in India who, over the course of a week, did 100 customer service issues just by himself. You know, that's what community does. It takes care of each other. We have thanked him appropriately, flown him to Prague, and showered him with gifts. But your community is everything, and you don't need to pay them. Just, say thank you. Give them a T-shirt. Give them some recognition. Customer care. It's, as we spoke this morning, it is all online. I'd recommend that internally you have a discussion on who's going to answer those tough questions. Because if they go unanswered, it's just not good. So if that's you, it's one of your business partners. If it's an outside person, but they need to check Facebook or Google Plus or Twitter 2 or 3 times a day. If you let it fester, it just goes into something really bad. And then last, remember it's a collaborative effort. There should be no one person or one function in your small business that owns this. Everyone should be involved. Finance, customer care, sales, marketing, because this is your business, this is your store. So because we embrace these 4 principles, I think it's allowed us to grow to where we are today on social media. And things that we've learned along the way that I wanted to share with you. One is be original. If you have not, make sure you register your business's name across all social media, at least Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Google+, Instagram. You may have no plans to use them, but trust me, sometime in the future you will. And you want to make sure that someone hasn't taken that name. So do it now. Second, be safe. Make sure you check the default settings of every single social media site your business is on, because they change and they're different, and you know how it is. One day, you haven't shared your address, the next day you have. So make sure you check these things at least once a week, and you're only disclosing items which you feel are pertinent for your business. Be smart. Click smart. When you're on social media, you're also open to spammers. And some of those links that they carry will expose you to malware or viruses. So if you don't know them, don't click. Be very, very careful on what you click on. Be the best practices. Make sure that you establish a set of practices within your company and everyone abides by it and agrees on it. And these practices are going to be tough. You're going to have a tight conversation with your employees about not posting on their Facebook page that you're a terrible boss or they had a horrible day. Everyone reads that. So you need to have those delicate conversations with your employees and just say, look, I'm not going to complain about you on the business side. Please don't complain about me. And by the way, if we have a healthy business and a healthy perception of the business, people will keep coming back. But those little things eat away at the fiber of your business. And then be prepared. Make sure that you have a disaster recovery plan. Make sure that you not only have the plan, but you've tested it and you're comfortable with it. And if you go to the Bahamas for a week, your employees know what to do. And so in closing, I sincerely want to commend you on your efforts. Small business is the backbone of this nation. And the work that you're doing is amazing, and you should celebrate it and enjoy it. We have a lot of resources that are available for you. So I encourage you, go to our website. We have the IT checkup. We have blogs. We have a lot of stuff on social media that you can use to help you in your business. We also have an amazing infographic that addresses these 2.5 billion people that are coming online. By country, it'll take you through the size, some of the nuances, but there's some amazing tools for you as you look at the next 2.5 billion. So again, hopefully some of these guidances and tips will help you establish your platform of trust, keep your business safe, and get you prepared for the next 2.5. So thank you very much.
Can I just say one thing? I just want to say that what I think was so useful about this, John and Brent and Judy, I think it's interesting that it shows that very large companies have these social media presence and everything, but I think what you share with such a practicality or utility of how everybody in this room can do it. So I think there's no excuse to not be better on social media and not be secure. So I just wanted to add a little footnote and say thank you.
Yeah, and then the last thing, if you're not on social media, I guarantee your competitor in some other country is. So this isn't a nice to have, it's something you absolutely need to have and do.
That's right. And if you're not on social media, your mama is. Anyway, y'all all right? Look at that little turkey thing going on, right? Little tryptophan. Wake up. All right, that's what I'm here for. I'm the wake up guy. Wake up! All right, you ready?
Ready.
Are you ready?
Woo!
All right, you better get ready. I ain't joking. My name is John Lawson. Like I said, I'm from Colder Ice. Today I'm going to just give you a quick overview of what I see going on in social media right now. All right? As it relates to online commerce. So social commerce, for lack of a better term. So I'm looking for a, do you see a slide up there? You don't? Okay, cool. They're doing the change out thing.
Do a little tap dance.
I can tap dance.
I know you can.
I know you can. We all can. Can you tap dance? I can't tap dance. Sorry. But if they don't get it running, I don't need slides, really. Well, yeah, I kind of do.
It's up now.
You see it now?
Yep.
Okay. So cool. I don't see it, so I'm going to come down there with you guys.
Yeah, be a man amongst the people.
Be a man amongst the people.
That's right.
Because I can't see it. Okay, so we're going to go back to the future, right? Yeah, that's fantastic. All right, cool. Social adoption. How did we get here? Oh, I can't walk in front of that. All right, so early marketing. Everybody remembers the story about Dell, right? I mean, there was a time in about 2009, 2010, you couldn't hear a social person without talking about Dell and Zappos, and then the cool how Southwest uses it. Oh, they use Twitter, isn't that cute? You remember that? So that was the beginning of the social adoption curve. Then we had this thing where the wannabe Steve Jobs guy got on there. Yeah. I heard he's done really good on that movie, so I can't wait to see it. So Ashton got up there and he got into a race. You remember that? Who was going to be the first person to have, what, 1 million followers on Twitter? It was between him and who?
CNN.
And who won?
He did.
Ashton won. It was amazing, and it went on for weeks, months maybe, while we watched them grow. But then this chick came out. Oprah, I don't know if you know her. She used to be on TV. She came out and got 1 million in a week. So here you had CNN running, you had Ashton running, it was a big news story. Oprah came out and tweeted one thing and got 1 million followers. And I think that was the time where we jumped the chasm. It's like, okay, what was all kind of geeky and cool for us, all of a sudden became something that everybody was using. Thank you, Miss Oprah. Thank you, Ashton. Because Ashton was really on TV and news talking about this. And I got a quote from Ashton, I think it's important up there. He said, I realized I could use Twitter to effectively change the world. So we are living, just think about this, people. We are living in post-Ashton social. Wow. Oh, it gives me chills just thinking of it. All right, cool. So, now here we are today. Literally, you can vote for TV shows who's going to be the winner of American Idol. Who's going to win, The Voice. Because the adoption has become so ubiquitous that everybody pretty much has some kind of access to social media, so much that the entertainment industry is actually putting it in their shows for voting and all that kind of good stuff. And then you got the late adopters. Don't be tardy for the party. You don't want to be that person, do you? So, like she was saying, you got to be on the social. But it's really not about how many people like you. How many of you like me? See, y'all don't even like me. I don't care about how much you like me. I need you to pay me. I don't care about likes. So this guy came out. You know that guy. And he said, if I had to guess, social commerce is the next big thing to blow up. And he said that back in 2010. And so social on Facebook, Facebook stores, blowing up. How many of you remember F-commerce as a term? F-commerce. You know what the F was for, right? Because it was totally effed up. Nobody wanted to buy anything on Facebook unless it was another turn for you to play that damn candy game. How many of you have spent some money on that? I saw these guys at a place, I think they were South by Southwest, and I walked up to their booth and I said, I hate you people. I never spent a dime on Facebook until I got stuck on level 21. Totally effed up. So, but what we found is that they have people like Delta trying to get you to book tickets online. Nobody wants to do that. So what we kind of did is put the cart before the horse. So social commerce is out there. It's coming. It's moving, but it's not moving in the way we thought it would move because you've got to wait for the people. The people. I'm not going to give you my credit card if I don't trust you. Nobody trusts Facebook. I don't trust Facebook with shit. Nothing. Nothing. I know everything that I put out there literally has the option to be shared where I don't want it to be shared. We understand that. And so without that kind of networking between like a Facebook and maybe a PayPal, people are not going to really feel secure to put their payments on there. But also, what else happens is that you can't build functionality on Facebook that you can build on your website. So why do we want a dumbed down checkout system, a dumbed down cart, a dumbed down description of our product base? Those are the problems that we had. So we ended up like this. Aww, forget it. Dumbass cat, So what was happening? You've heard this term before. Brent, I think he's the first person that ever said something to that effect. If content is king, then what? Context is queen. And the problem was the context was not right for social commerce at the time. However, today, things are changing. They're changing very rapidly. So, how to make context into a strategy when you're on your social marketing, when you're doing your social marketing plan. All right? First, you got to think about who you're talking to. The people that might be on Facebook are totally different than people that might be on Twitter. You know that, don't you? If I'm in a space where I can only do 140 characters, or I'm in a space where I can do pictures, video, and as much text as I want, that's a totally different customer. What are they doing at the time? Are they actually on their mobile phone nearby to your brick and mortar store? Or are they ordering and just checking you out from a place like an Amazon or an eBay to see if you actually exist somewhere else? Think about who they are, where they are actually interacting with you. When are they seeing it? Is it before work, after work? Are they browsing you at lunchtime? Is it because it's a holiday season? Who are you talking to? How are they viewing it? Is it on their mobile device? Is it on their, what's that thing? What's that thing?
Computer.
It's a TV. It's a TV. How many of you got TV access now with the web? How many of you got that? See? In just a few weeks, that $35 Comcast thing or Chromecast is going to change everything all over again. You know? So you have to be thinking about these things. And why should they listen to you? If you're on social media, why should we listen to you? All right. Here's the factors. Right now, why social is so important is because people can access that anywhere. All right? The cool thing about social is it is formatted automatically for any device. When I look at Facebook, it does it specifically the way it's supposed to on a mobile device. When I look at it on a tablet, it's specifically formatted for that device. All right? So now we have e-commerce, and it's everywhere. We don't know where somebody's going to actually land on So it's really not about the home page anymore. We've spent all of our time worried about the home page. But when people are starting to browse now on their mobile devices, they're not necessarily going to get to you from that home page. Here's a picture from 2005. This is when the Pope, the last Pope, not the current Pope, it's the Pope before the Pope, that's the current Pope. So it's pre-Pope. Pre-Pope and tight? I don't know. So this is when he was actually inaugurated, or whatever they do, when they burn the weed and smoke it. I don't know what they do. I'm sorry. I don't, you know, I don't know. If you're Catholic, help me out here. But I know they blow some smoke. So this is when that Pope was inaugurated. This is when this Pope was inaugurated. You see a difference? Can you see how much now people are actually doing everything with the mobile phone? Everybody has their own viewpoint, their own perspective on what's going on. 2005, there was one person right there in the corner with a little flip phone taking a picture. 2013, look at that. And look at how much great resolution we got, because literally I can see the Vatican on his iPad just from blowing that up. It's amazing the technology that we have today, right? I mean, people are starting to actually look old. If you're walking around with a laptop, you're starting to look like Fred Flintstone. Damn. So anyway, let's just take a quick look at what's going on. Because this chart right now is the amount of money that is spent on a media versus the amount of time people actually spend on that media. Am I making sense? This is the budget that most people or most businesses are using spread out across all the media. So print, if you look at it, the time spent by the public is about 7%. 25% of their budgets is being spent on that media. Radio, TV, we go all the way over to the right, and we see that the time spent on a mobile device like a cell phone is literally at about 10%. However, big business is only spending about 1% of their ad budget over there. What does that mean for me and you?
Opportunity.
It's a big opportunity. This is the new horizon. And it's moving very quickly. You don't want to be that tardy for the party. You want to be ahead of the curve, in front of the wave that is already here. It's here, but nobody else actually gets it yet. So I want you to get it. Do you get it? Yes. Do you understand what's happening? Yes. Do you understand how important this can be for a small business like yours and mine? If the big boys are not playing here, guess what? That means it's still cheap. So you've got to be serious about it. You can't be all flaky and, well, I don't know if anybody... How many of you got a cell phone? Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? How many of you don't have one? Really? Is there somebody here? No, this is New York. You can't be. All right. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of go over that with you. And then I'm going to turn it over to my boy, Brent Leary, and he's going to tell you some really cool stuff. Because I'm hot and sweaty. All right, thanks. I appreciate it. I got 2 minutes left. Now you beat that.
I gotta try to beat that.
You going to beat that?
Oh, he put it to 13.
Put it at 13. There you go. Go.
Everybody else got 15.
No, you don't need all that.
Why did he come down there?
Yeah, you can go down there if you want.
They can't see me because I'm not as tall as you.
Okay,
I'm gonna stay up here. Is that all right if I stay up here?
What's on the earphones?
I can't.
No. Nothing playing?
No.
All right, go ahead.
Gotta go. All right, so this is really cool. I think it's about the 5th or 6th one of these events I've been at, and they always seem to get better. So I'm gonna try to get through this. 5 keys to building a successful business in the millisecond economy. Now I talk about milliseconds because we don't have a lot of time to make a first impression anymore, because everybody is basically attention challenged, attention starved. How many of you have more attention to give to anything right now? You're pretty much up to here, right?
Yes.
Our customers are right there with you. They're right up to here. So our whole strategy is, how do we take attention from somebody else who has our customers, our prospects? They already have that attention. How do we grab it? And so the whole idea is we have milliseconds to make that happen. Now, I picked up that milliseconds theme from a really great conference a few weeks back from Adobe, and their VP of digital marketing said we only have milliseconds to make our actions turn into great customer experiences. Milliseconds. And we have to work up to that last millisecond. So if we're putting together our data, we're listening, we're finding out all this great information about customers and prospects and what they want, we're analyzing, we're looking for those key insights. We do all that hard stuff, right? And then we mess up the delivery. There's a great example of that. Anybody familiar with Target? Remember Target? They have a great data mining system. They know all this stuff about us that we don't know about each other. That's good. But what was bad is they picked a 16-year-old who was doing things like searching for certain things, certain items, baby kind of stuff. And they kind of said, okay, when somebody looks at this information, chances are they're pregnant. So what did they start doing? Start sending emails about diapers, tweets about this kind of baby information. Remember, she's 16, so they did all this great work up front, and then started dripping this stuff out to a 16-year-old who has a father who reads the emails, who read the emails and went to the store the next day, asked for the manager, and said, will you please stop sending my 16-year-old daughter stuff about getting pregnant? What are you trying to do here? So they were like, oh, I'm sorry, we're sorry, we didn't mean anything by it. The next day he came back. He apologized. He said, guess what? There was some stuff going on in my house I didn't know about. She was pregnant. He didn't know about it. Target did. So they did all this great work of data mining and listening and finding the insights and understanding what that meant, and messed up this last millisecond of delivery. And it became a huge sticking point. So we have milliseconds to make it happen. First thing about being a successful business in the millisecond economy is we got to go from being hippos to being geeks, data geeks. Anybody know what a hippo is? Not that hippo. Highest paid person in the organization. That's what a hippo is. Highest paid. And why is that important? Because a lot of times those guys are the ones that make the final decision, right? They got a lot of experience. They know their stuff. So hey, they make the last decision. But what do? Did they listen to the data? Did they look and analyze it? Some of them do, but some of them do what? Go with their gut, right? Here's an example of a really big hippo. Anybody familiar with NCIS? You watch that? That's like the #1 ranked show, right? Yeah. Who's that guy? Well, yeah, that's his real name. Leroy Jethro Gibbs. First of all, that's a kind of a cool name, you know, throwback kind of thing. But what is he famous for? He's the lead investigator. He's got all these people that do analysis and DNA and all this great stuff. And they say, hey, this is what the data is telling us. And what does he say? My gut is telling me it's going the other way. And guess what? This gut is usually right. But why is that? It's a show. Man, somebody's writing that stuff. They're not going to work all the time. And for a small business person, we have so much data at our disposal, we can now go from being the gut guy to being the geek. Now, everybody knows who that is, right? Jeff Bezos? Well, the last time I did this, somebody said it was Kevin Spacey. I was like, you know what? He does kind of look like him. But yeah, that's the geek. That's like geek #1 in my opinion. Because this guy has turned Amazon into a data business. It was actually a data business from the beginning. How many of you have bought something from Amazon? How many of you are a member of Amazon Prime? How many of you have bought a whole bunch of stuff over the years and have never talked to anybody at Amazon? Neither have I. But why do we do that? Because they look at the data and they make sure that they make it easy for us to buy what we wanted, and get it for 2 days free shipping. That's even the best part. Yeah, we'll talk about him a little bit later. So, here's another example of a small business that has become a geek business, not a hippo-based business. This is a company called Overwise Dairy. They're a Midwestern dairy. They sell milk and ice cream and all that kind of stuff. They actually do this thing I didn't even know they did anymore. They deliver milk at people's homes every day. I thought that was just a myth, but apparently it still happens. But it's really hard for them to get people signed up for this service. They spend a lot of time and effort bringing on new customers, and they don't want to see those customers leave. So they come up with these different programs to try to extend the lifetime of the customer. One of the programs they came up with was 6 months free delivery. That sounds great, right? So people, they order their stuff, it gets delivered, they don't have to pay any delivery fees, and they continue to buy stuff. But what happened? What do you think happened in the beginning of month 7? Churn rate just went up, people were dropping down. They're like, how can we get people to stay on board with us longer? So they looked at the data, and they started looking at different offers and what those offers could mean. So what did they do? Instead of offering free delivery for 6 months, 6 months, they offered 99-cent deliveries for a year, costing the same amount of money. But they extended the value of the offer over a year. Guess what happened? They made an additional $3 million because people stayed on for a year instead of dropping off for 6 months. Because they saw the value, they wanted the value, and they created the offer based on the data that allowed those folks to get the value and for the Overwise folks to make more money. That's being a geek instead of a hippo. All right, we got to go deep into Google. How many of you are already using Google Hangouts? Have you done a Hangout broadcast? How much did it cost you to do that?
0.
Did it allow you to reach more people in a more meaningful way? How much did it cost you?
0.
I don't think I need to say anymore, do I? Not about that. This stuff is great. They even have it where this Hangout app, you can have an Android phone and you can be talking to somebody on an iPhone and you can do video calls for free. No more FaceTime needed. Get the app. Good stuff. All right, well, you talked a lot about Facebook. I'm just going to mention something. I had a good conversation with Mari Smith. How many of you familiar with her? The queen of Facebook. Actually, got some good stuff. She has a lot of great information about the best way to use Facebook from a marketing perspective. Just one thing that I like real quick, she has this 80-20 rule. She uses Facebook to share other people's content about 80% of the time, and then uses that other 20% to go for leads, for some kind of conversion activity. And that way, she says, hey, I'm sharing a lot of information, people understand that, and they also are more likely to be open to whatever offers I have because I'm not forcing offer after offer after offer all the time. That's a really good way to start using Facebook to build a list, as opposed to going for the comments. All right, I love this stuff. Build a subscription-based business. How many of you are familiar with the subscription economy? Great. So instead of trying to sell one-off widgets or whatever it is, where somebody might buy it this month and they may not come back for another 3 or 4 months, and you get this good income, bad income, it's very hard to kind of maintain a business that way. So now you're seeing companies build businesses that are based on subscriptions. So instead of selling one thing at a time, hey, I want you to come back every month. So if I offer you a $10 a month service and give you a discount off the things you buy based on that, that allows me to have a consistent revenue stream and have a consistent relationship with customers going forward. So it's not one-off, I don't see you, I don't hear from you. It's I'm hearing from you every month. I'm sharing information every month. I can have a better income stream that's consistent. So you're seeing people take products and turn them into services that people can subscribe to. The Tie Society is one of those businesses. How many of you heard of the Tie Society? Isn't it kind of interesting? So, back in the day, I would buy some ties. I might wear them once or twice. Then I'd have a big closet full of ties. These guys said, you know what? Pay us $10 a month, and we'll treat you like Netflix treated us with movies. You can go on, we've got all these great ties. You can put ties in your virtual closet. We'll send them to you. You wear them for as long as you want. You put them back in that little blue envelope. We get it, and we'll send you the next one. So instead of going out and buying ties you wear once or twice, you pay $10 a month, you get the hot tie of the week or month, whatever, wear it for a while, shoot it back, they send you the next one. That's taking something old and turning it into a new business model using these technologies. Amazon Prime, we already talked about this. This is key. I think the last estimate I saw was about 10 million Amazon Prime customers. There's about 200 million active Amazon accounts. But those 10 million, in the US at least, account for roughly 20% of Amazon revenue. Why is that? Because they are going to buy and buy and buy because they want to get their $79 a year money's worth. So they keep buying, they get their stuff 2 days later. I bought a MacBook Air on a Wednesday, I got it on a Thursday. Man, that was a good Thursday. So that's what it allows Amazon to stay connected. And guess what? The churn rate, I believe, was like 92%. So, I mean, people sign up 92% of the time, year after year. So they're staying connected and they're selling them more stuff. I bought, I think, about $12,000 off of Amazon over the 16 years. You can actually go onto the site and see how much you bought all over that time. I'm writing a book on it. That's why I'm kind of into this thing. All right, automate everything. We didn't say a lot about that. There's a lot of stuff that we have to automate in order to build great relationships today. We can't be stuck in lead generation activities all the time because that's not where the money is run. The money is run when you've got a customer and you're able to take that customer and make them a brand advocate. So if you're spending all your time down here running for new leads and not up here cultivating a relationship, understanding the customer, you'll never get to the big payoff where the customer stays for the long run and brings you free referrals over and over and over again. So we have to automate some of those routine processes so that it frees up our time to really dig into what's important to the customer. Embrace crowds and clouds. This gentleman is a guy by the name of Jim Fallon. He had a company called Jigsaw. He sold it to Salesforce. He stayed out a little bit and wanted to get back into business. So what did he do? He started a company called Info Army, and he based it on the iPad. We're going to deliver competitive reports about companies, but we're going to put it in the iPad format, living, breathing information. And we're going to build an army of researchers around the world, and we're going to get them to do the research, and we're going to split the profits of us selling the reports on our platform. Crowds and clouds. Using the technology to build an army and deliver a product to an audience. How many of you heard of Transcribe Me? Transcription service. If you have an MP3, load it up to their server. If it's 5 minutes long, what they'll do is they'll cut it into 30-second slices, send it out to their army of transcribers. Each one will do a 30-second transcription, send it back, they'll build it all back together, and before you know it, you've got your transcription in a short amount of time. Clouds and crowds. And the last thing, you gotta be flexible and fair. Fair is flexible, fast, analytical, agile, interactive, integrated, responsive, and reliable. That's what fair is, actually doubly fair. And I'll just end with Netflix. Netflix won Emmys. When did Netflix become a TV channel to win Emmys? But they're flexible, they learned, they did the research, they found what people wanted, and they gave it to them. So now they're winning Emmys. They're actually doing commercials on TV for their shows that don't run on TV. That's where we are today with this stuff. And so at the end of the day, it's all about building loyalty, bringing advocacy to customers so that we spend all our time at the top and not running at the bottom. And I think that's all I have.
So that is our panel. I have three questions, one for each of you. Are you complaining about something? No, I'm talking about it. Okay, well, just tell all of us. You're sitting from everybody. Go ahead.
We got time. We got time for you to do this.
You want me to say something?
have questions for him?
Yeah, we got questions for him.
All right, well, okay, what's going on here, ladies and gentlemen, is I'm one of the original kings of technology, but I'm MCing. So I have a conflict. Do I MC or do I speak?
So what do you think? Should he speak?
Speak.
Okay, so 2 minutes. Set the clock. So I didn't prepare anything, but we'll talk about free. How about that? Cool. In my opinion, free is a concept that I developed when I was at Harvard University, Yale, and Princeton, and MIT, for how small businesses can better leverage social media. I was never at Harvard, MIT, Princeton, and Yale, but that's a side issue. And free is a very simple concept. Write it down that I think aggregates and talks a lot about the things that Judy and Brent and John talked about today. And it's very simple. And this is for very basic people who are confused about social media. And I'm saying this not as an MC, but as one of the original kings of technology. F stands for frequency. I don't know about you, but I talk to many small business owners. I'm sure you all three run into them. Oh, I tweeted last month, and then I have my next tweet scheduled for January as well. And so we have a Twitter campaign going once a month. You can't get it that way. Facebook, you can't post on Facebook once a year and be successful. So F is for frequency. The second thing that you may want to consider is relevancy. You can tweet as frequently as you want, go on social media as frequently as you want, but if you're not relevant, it makes no sense. You're wasting your time and energy. So the second aspect in free is relevancy. The third aspect that I think is very important is the engagement factor of social media. And I think all four are very important in my opinion. You can be frequent, you can be relevant, but if you're boring as molasses in the middle of where? Middle of
New York?
New York? No, middle of Atlanta. Then it's no good. So that's the E, and three is the engagement factor, something that pops, that stings, that goes forward, that engages your audience. And I think the last rubric of this four-legged stool is analytics. It's very important that you're not just frequent, you're not just relevant, you're not just engaged, but it's important to analyze what you're doing. It makes no sense to do something and waste your time if you're not measuring what you should do or if you're doing it right. Is that good enough? That's okay. Thank you. I'm done.
Okay. Let's give him a round of applause.
Hey!
So now I'm back to MC. My question. Brent, I'll start with you. And then if you have questions, we have time for 2 questions. I know we're over a bit. Could the Meet the Media panelists begin to go to my right here? If you have questions, 2 people can go to the microphones and I'll take 2 questions for some of you. My questions. Brent, mobility is very